TG Geeks, episode 90, August 8th, 2016. What happens when you don't have an interview? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I am Keith Lane and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from Phoenix. Oh, but right now I'm still thinking about Kansas, Arizona.
Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore.
No, we're not.
And
so what do we do when you don't have an interview? We talk.
We talk.
We just talk, so you have to listen to our voices.
So here we go.
We got a couple of good stories come down the pike. I want to share some of those with you. One of them is a story about a docu-sci-fi series called Mars. And it's coming to the National Geographic Channel. And this story, as well as the others we're going to talk about, will be on the show notes for this episode on our website at tggeeks.com. But basically, it goes like this. This November, the National Geographic Channel is going to be taking their audiences into outer space. And this will be coming from the producers of Ron Howard and Brian Grazer. It is a 6-part miniseries. And what they'll be doing is this will be part science fiction, where you'll be seeing astronauts take off, heading towards the red planet. And then it's going to be interspersed a lot with interviews with noted scientists and, not necessarily scientists, but a visionary, shall we say. You know, people like Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson. And
he's a scientist.
Neil deGrasse?
Yeah.
Well, yes, of course he is. Elon's more of the visionary.
I see.
That was sort of my approach on that.
You kind of put the comma in the incorrect place.
Did I?
Anyway,
as I said, half the show is more traditional drama with sequences directed by Eduardo Gaut, with plenty of input from NASA, SpaceX, and others. And this aim was to show viewers the closest thing possible to what an actual trip to Mars in 2033 could very well look like, in a very dramatic way. And we have a trailer for this. And you saw the trailer.
I thought it was interesting.
Did this look pretty far out to you?
I'm interested in trying to figure out how we can get that.
Well, we do have a National Geographic app on the Apple TV, but whether it'll actually play this or not is a different question.
Whether we have to have a subscription, shall we say?
Yeah, I don't know. We have to investigate that. I don't know if it'll actually play play a full-blown series. I hope it does, because I would like to see this. Fun. You know what I find fascinating about this is we're seeing amidst, and I don't want to get too political or social, with some of the anti-science sentiment that we've been seeing, but I'm seeing
anti-science.
Well,
okay.
You know where I'm going with that, don't you?
No.
But what I like though is that in terms of scientists like Neil deGrasse, we're seeing a real big push to get people interested in that. We haven't seen that kind of push since, I think, Sagan.
Yeah. There's a tremendous interest in all things science now. I think that possibly the anti-science movement has been part of that as well.
Well, it might have, that's a good question. Or it's a very good point. That's very possible. I hadn't considered that. I think this
people rebelling and finding that science is fun.
Science can be a lot of fun.
I look at science stories every day.
Yeah, I look at science stories constantly, and I'm sick and tired of science being demonized.
Yeah.
And, I understand there's a need for some sort of responsibility. You don't want to be stupid with your science research. But the exploration and the pursuit of knowledge, I think, is very exciting, especially in areas that we know nothing really about.
And think about it, kids. A scientist is just one experiment away from being a superhero.
That's right. I mean, hey, all you got to, ask Stan Lee. He'll tell you.
Stanley?
Stanley, yes. Ask Stanley, the steamer. Am I crossing way too many streams now?
Way too many now. See what happens when we don't have an interview?
Yeah,
you get us.
You have to deal with us. Man, you have my pity. Anyway, I think
we may run off more listeners.
Oh
Who
dear.
knows?
Oh, we'll have completely undone all the grounds that we have gained.
Exactly.
Oh dear, we'll have to start back at ground zero. What a way to honor episode 100 when it finally comes
exactly.
around.
We'll have no listeners.
We're starting from scratch.
Episode 100, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing it all over again with a brand new audience. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story about that. Like I said, we have a trailer for it, and if you go to the website to see the trailer, ignore the fact that it says trailer number 2. I don't know why it says trailer number 2. It's
Who
the
knows
first
where
trailer.
number 1 was?
There was no trailer number 1. I mean, even the article says this is the very first trailer of the National Geographic release. So why it says trailer number 2, who knows?
Yeah, and we had to look all over for the darn thing because we looked for it and looked for it and looked for it whenever the first article came out on.
We couldn't find it.
IO9.
Yeah, it was IO9 originally. We could not find that trailer to save our lives. It was agonizing.
Yeah, so we finally found it.
Finally found it. So anyway, now moving on to something even more ridiculous.
Get on with it.
Yeah, get on with it. As we've been saying recently, Keith and I have sort of discovered that maybe there is some value to be had in horror.
How about that?
Horror can be fun.
Horror can be horrible.
Horror can be horrible. Horror can be just an enormous amount of fun. And back in the 80s, there was this, I guess it was an anthology film, I'm guessing is what it was, called Blood Diner. And it's one of these really super cult films, and it was put out by a lady named Jackie Kong, who didn't do very much, but she's been regarded as being absolutely berserk with her films. And Blood Diner is one of the most popular, I suppose, of her films. And she is going to be actually bringing this film out of mothballs in a very special way. And this is for anybody who will either be in Texas or wants to go to Texas for this, because I swear, if we had the means to do it, I would want to do this, because this sounds like a lot of fun. October 1st.
October 1st. Well, if we win the lottery.
If we win the lottery.
Yeah.
Now, in Austin, Texas, there is a place called Spider House Ballroom. And Lady Jackie Kong herself will be hosting a screening of Blood Diner on this unbelievably bigger than God-sized huge screen. And it will be followed by a director Q&A, as well as a non-stop after party with the cast and the crew. And the article reads that pundits and partygoers will have the chance to see the flesh-eating goddess Sheeter. That is Sheeter. Sheeter. I'm assuming she's a character in this, and she is going to be imprisoned in a secure laser cage. You get to meet the actors who survived the blood-splattered Club Dread, enjoy the all-you-can-eat Lumerian buffet, and you can try to bring back the dead while you glut yourself, and dance all night to Blood Diner soundtrack, including Dino Lee, the king of white trash. And like I said, Jackie Kong is going to be there. This is going to be like, for people who really like 80s cheesy horror. And this is not, I should point out, we've got a trailer for this. It's from a VHS transfer. It's on our website. This looks silly. This is when horror films were meant to be fun. Not scare you, but to just kind of, you laugh at it because it's so absurd. That's what this is.
Interesting.
It looks really interesting. It's the trailer we have is from 1987. Like I said, it's from a VHS transfer. So there will be some tracking flaws, but it's clear enough for you to get the idea. It looks like a very silly movie. So for anybody who really likes horror and especially loves just the fun 80s nonsensical horror films, this is your event. So if you're in Austin or you have the means to go to Austin and be there on October 1st, by all means, go and do it.
That's the weekend on the other side of my work conference.
Hey now.
And Austin's just 50 miles from San Antonio, I think.
Hey now. I think we'll be having a conversation when this recording is over.
Yeah, we might.
You never know. So, moving on to something a little bit more wholesome. Disney is going to be putting out a new live-action film. I admit, I had doubts.
I had reservations, too.
I had reservations about them doing Pete's Dragon. I never, and call me a heretic if you want, I never liked the original film. Did you see it?
I've never seen it.
It's not that good. I don't think it's that good. I mean, it's one of these films where they do these musical production numbers for the sake of having a musical production number.
Dear God. Kind of like what was it, Daddy Longlegs we watched the other night.
Something sort of like that. It's like, oh, why is this here? Oh, you just put it here because you
needed to.
Because you needed to do something.
You made a musical number.
You made a musical number because you just could. Yeah, I really don't care for those. And sadly, Disney has been good at doing that. They did it years ago with a movie musical, Newsies, which I despised horribly. And Pete's Dragon, the original, was very much like that. I mean, the only notable thing is that it has Helen Reddy in it. But I'm also a big opponent of films that treat little children like they're, I don't know, just fountains of misinformation and never to be believed. That their fantasies and their minds don't have any merit. I hate that. I don't care for that. I think children's imaginations and children's minds should always be encouraged. And the original movie really discourages that idea. So I was very leery about them doing a live-action version of this film. Now, there's a trailer that came out of the UK, which gives a bit of a better look into this film. And to be perfectly honest, I gotta say, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It looks really good. The only thing that I'm a little leery about, and sadly, this is one of these things that Disney is very good with from time to time. Please don't turn this into a tearjerker.
Oh my God! You know they will, though.
Well, I was afraid they were going to do that with Jungle Book, and they didn't. Not really.
Well, a little bit, but
there was a little
to be
bit
expected.
Yeah,
stuff that was to be expected.
There's a little bit of sadness, and there was some tears. But it came out of scenes that had a lot of nobility in them.
Right.
But it wasn't one of these really sad films like you got in the original Jungle Book, where Mowgli leaves the jungle to live with the humans.
Well, I'm
we
glad
didn't
they
get that.
Do that. Yeah.
We didn't get that in the. I mean, we had that in the animated. We didn't get that. He stays with the jungle. He stays with the animals. Yep. And to be honest, I really liked that. So I'm hoping that when this film comes out, that maybe we're going to get a little bit more of that, because there's a scene in the UK trailer that I don't know where it takes place in the film, but it ripped my heart out.
Yeah, there was a couple of little insinuations there that were
there's one really terrible scene, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, but there's a scene where the boy Pete has been rescued, and this this female ranger, who's played by little Ronnie Howard's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, who's now an adult. She's about as old as he was when he played Richie Cunningham in Happy Days.
Yeah,
and she's got every bit of red hair as he did. And I say did because he's bald now. But there's a really great scene, but a very sad one, where she hears this noise out in the woods. And she says, "What is that?" And he says, "That's Elliot. He gets scared when I'm not there." And I sat and thought, oh no, you're going to rip my heart out, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me nervous to want to see it. I don't want to have my heart ripped out, okay, people?
Yeah.
Give me a happy ending. It's a Disney film. I want a happy ending. Nonetheless, I think the trailer looks really good.
Yeah, take a look at it.
Definitely take a look at it and get to see Carl Urban in a bad role, I think. Get to see Robert Redford in a good role for once.
So it's a bad role for Carl Urban?
Well, I think it's a bad role for Carl Urban because you never want to see him play a bad guy.
Oh, he plays a bad guy.
I know, but that makes it a bad role. On multiple ways, if you know what I mean. It's like, I don't want to see him play a bad guy. I like Carl Urban. I like to see him play good guys all the time. I want to see him play, Thor. Not Thor. What am I saying? Not Thor. No, he's not. That's Chris Hemsworth. No, but he's in the new Thor film. I can't remember who he plays, but no, I want to see him be like McCoy all the time.
Yeah.
Or just these really likable characters.
Yeah. No Boris Badenov.
No Boris Badenov. No. But I'd like to see him play Boris Godunov.
There we go.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, have him do Russian opera. Now, moving on to another Marvel property, since we just hinted at it. There's a lot of universe building that is going on over in Netflix, and I think this. We've complained a little bit about how there's this lack of synergy that's going on between the movies and the TVs. We're not getting what we
get interesting.
Well, we're not getting what we wanted. We're not seeing the tie-overs, because we've seen, obviously, the movies have some effect on the TV shows, but we've seen like virtually nothing happen in the television shows that have any effect in the movies. And that's all politics, sadly.
Right.
I mean, there's just the divisions are not getting along very well, so we just have to live with the fact that, yes, they live in the same universe, deal with it. But what's happening on Netflix, nonetheless, is very exciting. There's a nice crossover going on, and one of the most popular characters in Daredevil, and it's not Murdoch the lawyer. No, it's Foggy.
Yeah.
It's Foggy Nelson. He is actually going to be in the new Defenders TV series.
So there's some synergy between the Netflix series.
Yes.
Instead of the Marvel Universe.
And we got a hint of that. I'm trying to think. Now, we got a little bit of hint of that in Jessica Jones.
Right.
Where there was mention of Daredevil.
Right.
And of course, it also introduced Luke Cage.
Right.
And now that we just finished off season 2 of Daredevil, we saw Foggy having an interview with that one Icy Queen attorney.
Yep.
From Jessica Jones. So the bleed over is happening. I can understand why they don't want to go too far with it.
Yeah, you don't want to give everything away.
No, and you don't want to dilute the product too much. You really want to make it about your chief protagonist. But I think it's still kind of exciting that they're bringing in all these, that they're crossing them over like that.
Your cheap protagonist?
Yeah, a cheap.
Oh, you said chief.
Yes, chief protagonist. Not.
Yes, it's my job.
It's your job to derail me. And I like the fact that they're getting Poggy
I like the
Nelson.
fact that I derail you.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they're getting Poggy Nelson.
Poggy
Nelson, yes.
Okay.
Yes, Poggy Nelson will be appearing in Independers.
Oh dear God, it depends.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Moving right along.
Yes, for all those people who fear accidents. Anyway, yes, moving right along. Going back over to horror films, there's a brand new horror flick coming out, and again, the big reason we're pushing horror right now is that we're finding it kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, with talking to Patricia Chica and Daniel DeGrotto and all these other people, and Miguel, obviously, for Horrible Imaginings, and being exposed to this plethora of really artistic horror films. I mean, it's actually a very, very exciting genre. I mean, there's some subgenres of horror that I still have no love to watch, but there are others that I could watch and find them quite enjoyable, and I think this one is one of them because of its filming aesthetic. And it's a throwback slasher film called Lake Nowhere. It is coming to Blu-ray. And what they've done, this is a rather modern film in terms of when it was made, but the filmmakers, the directors, Christopher Phelps and Maxim von Skoy, they really nailed this. You look at the trailer, which will be in the show notes for this episode. Watch the trailer. It really looks like something out of like Friday the 13th. It's amazing how they've done that. It looks like one of these films that you rented out of your video store and you popped it into your top loading VCR. I mean, and when I watch it, I mean, it brought such enormous flashbacks to the kind of movies I used to rent all the time. So just as a background, the film is produced by R.S. Fitzgerald and Rose Sambrato in association with Urside Parade LLC and Brooklyn-based the Ravicon Collective. It stars Laura Hayek, Ray Villanova, Nathan Andrew Wright, Oscar Allen, and Matthew Houck as the Masked Maniac. And it's all about a group of friends that arrive at a desolate lakeside cabin, and they're stalked and murdered by a masked maniac. There it is. It's very formula, but if these were the kinds of movies that you really enjoyed and you kind of miss having them around, but you also miss the, like I said, the 80s aesthetic that these movies had at that time, this is going to be for you. The movie will be released by Brink Vision on special limited edition Blu-ray or DVD combo on August 16th, so we are just like a week or so away. It'll also be released on video on demand the same day. There will be tons of bonus features, so if you're one of these people that likes those kinds of slasher 80s horror flicks, this movie is for you. And again, it is called Lake Nowhere. Check out the trailer on the website.
Yay.
Now we have a couple of more Marvel stories to share with you. There's a lot of disappointment at the way things kind of fell apart between Marvel and ABC. A lot of people kind of bummed that Marvel's Most Wanted didn't happen.
Yeah.
Especially, with all the effort they took to spin off Mockingbird and Bobby and I can't remember Hunter. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, apparently ABC took one look at the pilot, says pass. So we're really, really bummed by that. But they said that they're still excited to work on them, or work with them, or ABC work with Marvel on some new products. But they're really not saying much about anything. All they simply said was that this came from Channing Dungey, who is the ABC Entertainment president, and this was at the Television Critics Association meeting at 2016, and Dungey said, "We all came to an agreement that the next show that we want to do together is something that is as creatively strong as it can be. No specifics." However, her statement confirms that there will be more Marvel TV series in the works. And I keep thinking, well, I remember there was talk about Damage Control.
Right.
But they're not talking about that now.
Yeah, they're not even talking about Agents of Carter.
No, well, Agents of Carter, that got just dropped so unbelievably fast.
Well,
and Netflix took one look at that and said they didn't want to do it.
Well, there was, once again, politics and business, as Netflix said. And I understood why they wouldn't touch that, because they've got so many different contracts through the ABC network television run that Netflix would have to pick up those contracts as well if they picked up Agent Carter.
Possibly, but it wouldn't be the first time that they've done that. I mean, they have picked up other shows that have been canceled off of network TV, that were on primetime networks, and Netflix has picked them up.
Yeah, it just could have been, who knows? They have all kinds of other projects. Going.
They have a lot of other stuff going on, and right now that whole Daredevil Defenders universe, I think, is really their primary focus, and maybe they just looked at Agent Carter and said, this just does not fit with where we want to go.
Right.
And there's another story. The next story might even explain why they don't want to do it. But coming back to this, we had this big thing about Damage Control.
Right. And then it just all of a sudden evaporated.
Well, we know that NBC is working on their own DC version of that, where it deals around an insurance office having to work out all the claims that are being filed due to damage and collateral damage perpetrated by the DC superheroes.
Right.
So, NBC is going through with it, so I'm a little perturbed that ABC has decided that they're not taking this any further. I mean, it's like the show went into barely pre-production, now they've dropped it.
Yeah, that's the problem with lots of rumors.
I guess.
Rumors only.
I guess, but this one really had a lot of legs to it. I mean, it looked very solid that they were going to go through this. I mean, it's based on the comic.
Yeah.
It looked really strong, and I'm wondering if at the time they were really going to do it, and now they've just decided, oh well, once they dropped Agent Carter, maybe they thought we just don't want to go that direction anymore.
Who knows?
Still, there's talk about them, maybe doing other stuff, ABC and Marvel. So then moving back to the Netflix, and this is the last story for this segment, there's a character who will be appearing in Luke Cage. Her name is Misty Knight. I'm not going to go into too much about her, except that if you Google Misty Knight and look at any of the artist's conception work, she has a robot arm.
A robot arm.
A robot arm. So take that, run with it. What is interesting is that she has been also now confirmed for Iron Fist. And let's see.
So she's going to be Iron Fist?
No, she's not
Iron
Fist.
Arm.
She's Iron Arm. No, Danny Rand is Iron Fist.
I see.
He's the Iron Fist. And yeah, he's a guy. But she's not to be trifled with, and apparently neither is the actress, who is Simone Missick. Jeff Loeb, who is the head of Marvel Television, said that the fans are really going to love her.
Well, that's good.
And he simply said that she has knocked it out of the park with her role, and there's already some internet chatter about her getting her own series.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, here's the weird thing. So let's count what we've got on Netflix. We got Daredevil. We've got Jessica Jones. We have Luke Cage. We have Iron Fist. We have The Defenders. Now there's talk. Now there's serious talk about Punisher, and now just the tiniest bit of chatter about Misty Knight having her own television show on Netflix. 7 Netflix shows.
Zeben.
That could be totally far out. Of course, Jeff Loeb says that he has no intention of actually seeing Netflix become the Marvel channel.
Well, why not?
Why not? The CW's becoming the DC channel.
Yeah.
Hey, I think it's a great idea. And I tell you, the fans will love it. That's for darn sure. And Jeff Loeb was even asked about that. He says, I think Netflix, this was Loeb's response to that. He says, I think Netflix is being very selective in terms of where we're going. That being said, Simone, again, this is Jeff Loeb speaking, Simone just knocked it so far out of the park that we're still trying to find the baseball. It's somewhere out there traversing the globe, so it's really great. And I can tell you that what she's doing on Luke Cage is just incredible. The fans are really going to love it. And wait until you see Jessica Henwick as Colleen Wing. She's amazing. And then Simone Missick had this to say to Hollywood Reporter. Somebody put it on Twitter that way that they want to see a Misty Knight series with Shonda Rhimes as one of the writers. Holy moly. Now,
wow.
That would be dynamite. That would be intense. I would watch that. And Simone continues to say, I was like, hell yeah. How cool would that be? If you say it, if you put it out there, maybe it'll happen. Tweet it and it will come. An audience, I'm going to say this. Tweet it, because that's how the X-Files got resurrected. It was tweeted and it came back.
Yeah.
So there is that. Now, personally, I would love to see a Netflix show. Or a Netflix-based Marvel thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A big Marvel repository
That could be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be really awesome. So that's the article. You can read more about that on our show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com.
Hi, this is Rusty Manuel, Director of Occupants, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And here are a few selected birthdays for August 18th, or August 8th through August 14th.
There's a cat in your way.
Yeah, she's sitting in front of me here.
She's the studio kitty.
August 8th, Dino De Laurentiis and Robin Quivers.
Of Howard Stern.
Of Howard Stern, yes. August 9th, Gillian Anderson.
And should I say, Gillian Anderson, she was the person who said, people, tweet it. Tweet that X-Files is coming back or that you want to see it to come back, and it did. So it was Gillian who did it. So people, hey, if you want to see Simone Missick do more Misty Knight, tweet it.
Yep. Also on August 9th, Eric Banya and Kevin McKidd.
Oh, there's a couple of Aussies for you.
Yeah. Well, Kevin's Scottish.
That's right. I'm sorry. Kevin is Scottish, but Eric is an Aussie. That's right.
August the 10th, Ian Anderson.
Of Jethro Tull.
Of Jethro Tull, yes. And also on August 10th, Clarence Leonidas Leo Fender.
I'm willing to bet he's the designer, inventor, creator of the Fender guitar.
He certainly is. August 11th, Chris Hemsworth, Hulk Hogan, Steve Wozniak, and I wouldn't be doing this without Steve Wozniak because we got the Apple computers here.
We're totally Apple geared.
Also on August 11th, the Emperor himself, Ian McDiarmid.
I'm stuck on the fact that Chris Hemsworth, Thor, shares a birthday with Hulk.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's cute. August the 12th, John Nathan Turner, one-time producer, long-time producer.
Long-time producer of Doctor Who.
Of Doctor Who. And also on August 12th, Cecil B. DeMille and Jane Wyatt.
Wow. Jane Wyatt. How can you not love her?
Exactly. August 13th, Sebastian Stan, Alfred Hitchcock, and Annie Oakley was born in 1860. August 14th, Steve Martin.
The Wild and Crazy Guy.
And James Horner. And we lost him just right at a year ago because he died just before his birthday last year.
Yeah, it was very recent.
And also the female Paul Lynde, Alice Ghostly.
Oh, I loved her in Bewitched.
Yes. And also on August 14th, Gary Larson, one of my favorite cartoonists.
Yes.
The Far Side. I love the Far Side.
I adored the Far Side. It's a pity that he's not doing it anymore. I understand why. But I got to go see a Gary Larson museum exhibit in San Francisco many, many, many years ago. And my brain was just so melted by the time I walked out of there because it was just gag after gag after gag. It was insane.
Yep. I love Gary Larson and the Far Side. And that's it for the birthdays this week.
Forget about whether Han shot first. He did. Is it true that Han Solo teamed up with a 6-foot green rabbit? Did Darth Vader profess a devotion to the immortal gods of the Sith? And did Leia's unhealthy attraction to her brother grow for years? Ew. Hi, I'm voice actor Michael Corley, and I want to answer these questions and more on the VoxBox Star Wars comic book podcast. Each VoxBox episode covers classic Star Wars comics, starting with the original Marvel series in 1977 all the way to the present day. So tune in, have some fun, and may the Force be with you at VoxBoxPodcast.com.
Go give a listen to our friends over at VoxBox Star Wars Podcast. We're going to have the link on our show notes, and we feature a podcast each week, and we usually have a link to their podcast on the show notes. So go give a listen to them.
Okay, not much feedback. So this will be rather short. Regarding last week's episode 89, we got the most cryptic feedback from Arkle, which had Keith and I just completely scratching our heads. And he simply wrote, "Good episode. I especially dug the double-length John Cage cover at the end." And Keith and I were like, "Er?" And then he finally added, "The last 8 to 9 minutes of the video," because he saw it on the YouTube channel, "are silent. I was just making a joke about that."
Yeah, about John Cage's music.
Yes.
It should be silent.
It should be silent. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And the second bit of feedback that we got was regarding the story we just talked about, how Daredevil's Foggy Nelson is going to be appearing in The Defenders. We got a response from just a quick little reply from Sarah G. Opera on Twitter, and she simply writes, "I always liked that actor." And then Arkle comes back with, "Well, obviously, The Defenders wasn't going to leave out Daredevil's best character, and I got to agree. He's well, I don't know if he's the smartest one, but he's definitely brighter than Murdoch. That's for darn sure."
Well,
I like him better than Matt.
In some cases, yeah.
I mean, Matt's really beginning to irk me. I like Foggy a lot better. Foggy's got his head screwed on straight.
Well, Matt has some issues.
Well, Matt's got issues, yeah. And we do have one honorable mention. This was not an actual feedback, but we did get tagged. And it was in regards to episode 89, and it came from Daniel DeGrotto, who we interviewed. and he was the director for Aliena, and he wrote, "This is the result of a great talk I had with Keith Lane and Ben Raggington about the movie Aliena that's being shown at Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego."
Yay.
Yay for this, and we're still hoping that Daniel will be able to show up for
Yeah,
that.
we hope so. And you are very important to us, so if you want to leave a comment on our episode or our articles or anything else that we do, you can do that on the website, on our YouTube episodes. You can leave a comment on our Facebook page, or you can call our listener feedback line at 469-TG-GEEKS. That's 469-844-3357. And remember, play nice.
Hello, this is Miguel Rodriguez, director of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
Okay, I got a couple of things that we want to talk about. This one is, oddly enough, has become pretty controversial.
Yeah.
It's about Star Trek Beyond. Now, here's a movie that, by the critics, received really good reviews. By many Trek fans, received really good reviews, including from Alec Peters of Axanar. He actually got on Facebook and encouraged people, see this movie. It is a great film. And Crazy Joe, he liked it. He said it certainly washed away any bad taste that might have been left over from Star Trek Into Darkness. And yet, this movie has so underperformed. It had it was number one in its first week, and even then, it fell short of what it was projected to make. It dropped to number 2 in week number 2, and then as of today,
it's number 5.
It's number 5, and we're recording this on August 7th.
Yep.
It dropped to number 5, and at the rate that it's going, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it falls out of the top 10 next week.
Yeah, that's really bizarre. And we haven't seen it, by the way. So.
No, we have not seen it.
For various reasons.
There's been a multitude of reasons why we haven't seen this film. But I am very perplexed by this. I even threw the question out on Facebook as to why anybody would think this movie is just really tanking. Sadly, though, all the responses that I got were from people that really hate everything J.J. Abrams.
Oh, well.
So all I got was a bunch of hateful rhetoric about, well, this movie sucks. I mean, it's like, don't give me that. I don't want that as my answer. Because here you have a movie that has been initially highly rated.
Yeah, and
now it's just tanking.
Yeah, and then just kind of the opposite side of that, a movie that has had the most horrible reviews has gone to box office success this weekend.
Suicide Squad.
146 million.
Yeah. Suicide
It's
Squad received some really, at best, mediocre reviews before it came out, and it just went right to the top.
Yeah.
So, but then again, so did Batman versus Superman. That's another movie that received some very mediocre reviews, and look what it did. It did really great. So we'll, the test of time, we'll have to wait and see over the next couple of weeks to see how that goes.
Yeah,
but coming back to Star Trek, I know that there was talk of a boycott, but let's be real. The number of diehard Star Trek fans that make up the general going movie audience is not that big.
Well, and that's who we're seeing the positive from is the Star Trek movie-going audience, not the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe this film is just another in a string, and people are tired of this genre, tired of the story, tired of or what,
Is it
Is
possible?
it something that, we're just seeing the phenomenon peter out?
Oh, I think you might be onto something. I was just wondering, despite the fact that the reviews were so strong, is it possible that a lot of Star Trek fans, I mean, we know that they enjoyed the first one.
Right. Well, and the popular theory or what has been spun out there is that the new Star Trek was made to draw people in,
Yeah.
and to draw people into the Star Trek universe. And has it done that? Has it spun it off? And are they watching Next Generation, original series, any of the other incarnations, or are they sticking to the films? And are they just are the films just not drawing people in?
That's a good question. I remember when we talked to Larry Nemechek about that. I mean, and in fact, he even said that during our discussion with him at Phoenix Comic-Con, that it was these movies were designed to bring in the new audience and to help move them over into the original series. I mean, we know, talking to Jeannie Koch off the air, she has said that she hated the series, she hated the original movies, but she loved what J.J. Abrams brought. She
Right.
was crazy about it. Of course, it made her husband Steve just cringe with pain every time she said that.
Yeah.
I remember he says, "Honey, you're killing me," something to that effect. And yeah, I had to agree with him on that one because I love the original films. But is it possible? Have they moved on, and are they now looking back at these other movies as like, ooh, now that I have watched these, now that I have moved on to the original series and the older films, these new things that JJ put up, ooh, now in comparison, they look like crap.
Yeah, who knows what's going on there? It could be interesting to see what happens in the near future.
Well, I think the real big test will be the CBS Prime series.
Right. See if that has drawn anybody in.
See what that'll do. And, of course, the much-rumored Star Trek 4, will that actually happen? I mean, there is talk about Chris Hemsworth actually returning to play the role of George Kirk.
Interesting.
So, I
saw
know.
something. I didn't read the article, but I saw a rumor that they were going to return to the original timeline somehow.
Yeah, there's been some talk about them returning to the prime timeline. A lot of people are not very happy with the Kelvin timeline, as they call it, or JJ verse. I think that's a better word for it, But I think it has a derogatory tone now. That's why they're calling it Kelvin timelines, because I don't think JJ wants to see his name taken in vain, which is what's happened here. But it's very possible. Maybe just a lot of fans. Or a lot of the movie-going audience, maybe they didn't like Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not like that movie.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, it was okay. The cast is great. That's the only reason I thought it was good. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did a great performance as Khan, even though he was horribly miscast. But as a whole, I thought the story was hideously bad. And so, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people are just like, ick. And they don't want to see any of the Star Trek films come out of the JJ house anymore.
Right.
So, if you have an opinion on this,
please let us know.
Share it with us, because I think this is something that's really worth talking about.
And get your input on this. Help us understand this phenomenon.
Absolutely. Now,
and you can be a part of the show.
And you can be part of the show. No kidding. Now, on a slightly upper note,
yeah.
Wow, we had the most amazing experience on Friday night.
You're not looking at the live script for
No,
whatever
I'm not
reason.
looking at the live script.
Yeah, because I just changed it.
You changed the script on me?
Yep. I added something.
You added something.
In advance of your story. I just wanted to say we ran the bumper for Russ Emanuel. And I just wanted to say that Occupants has gotten a distribution partner through ITN. We don't know much about it. As soon as we find out more, we will add more information to that. But they now have a distribution partner.
Yeah, that was just announced a couple of days ago.
Yeah, on Friday, I believe.
Yeah. So, yay for Russ.
Congratulations to Russ Emanuel and the Occupants team.
Yeah, hopefully this will mean bigger and better things. And this could mean for some very exciting things to happen to the overall Occupants franchise.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know about that. So that's very exciting.
So,
back to where I was.
Yes.
Friday night, we had the most incredible experience ever. And I'm going to harken back to an episode that we did back in the early days.
Oh, my gosh. It was like one of the first 10 episodes, I think.
I want to say it was like episode 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where I went on this, I had this little spiel about how the lead singer for one of my favorite bands since I was a teenager was retiring. That band is Kansas, and that lead singer was Steve Walsh. And I kind of really waxed on poetically about how much I loved Kansas and all the music they did, etc., etc., etc. Well, yeah, they're still around. Only 2 of the original members are still with the band, but the members that they have in there now, the lineup they've got right now, let's just say that they're deeply committed and they're deeply passionate about the music this band puts out, because what we saw Friday night blew me away.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Actually, it sounded really great.
I was shocked by the quality of the musicianship by this band. And the new lead singer, Ronnie Platt, holy moly, that guy belted out high C's, high D's, high E flats. I mean, and it just over and over and over again. The man was incredible. He was a machine with the way he sang.
Yeah.
The lineup is unbelievable. They pulled out some really some great tunes out of their entire catalog. A couple of deep tracks, not a lot, but just a couple, which to make things interesting. In fact, and this is going to sound really weird, but I kid you not, the 4th song they did, 4th or 5th song, it's a big hit called The Wall, but the way that they played it was better than anything I've heard in the past 20 years. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was right up there with how great the band used to, or how well they used to play back in the 70s. It was that level of quality.
Yeah.
And I remember when that song ended, it left me with this big smile on my face. And then they went into a song that I knew they were doing it, but at the same time, it shocked me to hear it. A beautiful song, a little acoustic tune called Reason to Be. And it's all about understanding who you are in the universe, basically.
Yeah.
And it's written from, some will say that it's written from a Christian aesthetic. Yeah, perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. Some other people say it isn't. But it's still about understanding who you are in the grand scheme of things and what is your reason to be. And, it's tough to talk about because I began to weep. I openly cried during this song. It
was a very moving concert.
It was very powerful for them to go into this. I mean, I was almost sobbing by hearing this song. The beautiful words, the beautiful way in which they played it. I mean, it was every bit as good as it is on the record, and yet at the same time, it had this energy to it that I hadn't heard before. It was unbelievably beautiful, and from that point on, the rest of the concert was like, you guys can do no wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was a great concert. We saw him, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago?
About 4 years ago.
At the Celebrity Theater.
At the Celebrity Theater. And even then, I mean, that was with the original lead singer.
Right.
His voice was sorely trashed by then.
Right.
But
they were still good. They still sounded good.
Musically, they still sounded
great.
Oh, my God. This was absolutely incredible. And I love how they're actually trying to go very old school. I mean, with modern technology being what it is today, how you can, with really good electronics, you can make an electric guitar sound like an acoustic, or with the right kind of digital keyboards, you can make them sound like anything you want.
Yep.
And yet, Rich Williams actually pulled out an acoustic guitar. He had it mounted on his guitar stand, so he could jump to it anytime he wanted. So he wanted to go for the classical, the true the true acoustic sound. There was a real Hammond B3 organ in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like thrilled to see this, and the audience was just unbelievably charged. It's exciting to know they've got a new album coming out. I've already heard one of the songs from it, I believe called "We're the Heart." It is incredible already. I mean, it's like Kansas has all of a sudden come back in a really exciting sort of way. And I only hope that they're about to launch on the 40th anniversary tour of their 4th album, Left Overture, which was their breakout album.
Right.
So I hope they come back here.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do that one.
Oh, God, I would love to see them do Left Over. Yeah, they promised to do the entire album. I would love to see that. That would be exciting because there's some songs on there that I've never heard them perform live. So to watch that would be a thrill to no end. In any case, that's what we did Friday night. And, so why are we talking about this? Hey, you've heard the motto, you name it, we talk about it.
Yep. And with that, we're going to go into our follow-up items. As always, we have a calendar on the website, various items, birthdays, celebrities, Comic-Cons, any kinds of cons, film festivals, you name it, we'll put it on the calendar. Send us a note. And as you may have figured out by now, that we are huge supporters of independent creators, not just film, but any kind of creative outlet, whether it's comic books, art, music, film, etc. We talk about it. Yeah, you name it, we talk about it.
You name it, we talk about it. I mean, like Christy Hartman.
Yep, exactly.
She's an independent writer. She does not go through...
self-published.
She's self-published.
Yep. And we want to support those independent creators. You never know when you might come up with something that's really incredible. And we talked about it a couple of times now, the Stranger Things, how they appeared to be independent filmmakers, and then all of a sudden they have this hit show. They were turned down by 15 different production companies.
And that's the fault of the production companies. And I made the comment to Keith that the president of those companies is
I'm
probably
sure they're kicking themselves.
Well, either they're kicking themselves or they have fired people for not having the foresight to pick up that show, because that, I think, is right now the next big craze on Netflix.
Absolutely. It was really great. But they were independent filmmakers, and they started like anybody else, and they worked on micro budgets, and they probably did crowdfunding. So if there is something that we talk about, I know we talk about a lot of independent creators, but if we talk about somebody, go take a look at it, and if you like the project, be a part of it for as little as $5,
Yeah, I mean,
it can help.
We introduced a lot of people to Occupants, and look what happened.
Yeah, and there's different films that are out there right now that we've supported and continue to talk about.
Absolutely.
So please consider supporting independent creators. And speaking of independent creators, we're going to get to see a bunch of those independent films at Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego. That is September 7th through the 12th at the Museum of Photographic Arts in lovely Balboa Park. It's a film festival not to be missed, and we're supporting the LGBT block of films on Saturday afternoon. Wednesday through Friday is evening only, and Saturday and Sunday are all day.
And it's not just movies.
Yeah, it's not just movies. They're going to have some
will there be some
readings and panels at all kinds of different things. Music at one evening in the park.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. I
gonna
cannot wait. I am so excited.
Tickets are still available at hifilmfest.com. Check out our interview with Miguel Rodriguez, who is the founder and producer of Horrible Imaginings, and that was episode 87. We'll have a link in the
show notes for that.
Phoenix Comic-Con has announced FanFest 16, October 22nd and 23rd, downtown Phoenix at the Convention Center. More information to be released. I still haven't seen any guests released yet, so just check out phoenixcomiccon.com. And for you people that are year-round Halloween fans, Keen Halloween has partnered with Phoenix Comic-Con to return to Phoenix on September 23rd and 24th at the Convention Center. Find out more information at keenhalloween.com.
And we must give, as always, a big shout-out to the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. That is a paperly edition that comes out every other day, and many times our stories appear in the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. You can find the Doctor Who Fancast Guide by looking for Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter. Their handle, @TalkingWho. And the same goes for the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News. That lovely person is Brian Weber, who we've talked a little bit about in our feedback. And he puts out the Post-Dispatch News every day, and every so often our stories appear there as well. So that's why we give them a big shout-out. And you can find the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News by looking for Social Justice Scald on Twitter. And the handle is @Arkle. That is ARKLE. And Brian is also on Tumblr with the incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Enjoy them, have a fun, have a laugh, but make sure you don't do it while you're at your work desk, because that way you still want to have a job.
Exactly. And we want to give a shout out to The Lookie Show. The twins, Sasha and Dagmar, are really fun. Check them out on Twitter at Lookie Show and catch their show on YouTube, and that is The Lookie Show. If you like old movies and good commentary and reviews, check out The Lookie Show on YouTube.
Have to give a special shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek. My favorite Facebook group. They put out the greatest content. In fact, I just got some really awesome iPhone wallpaper artwork for it. I mean, and it's very sci-fi themed. I got a great one. It's a picture. It's artist rendition from 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's some enormously talented people there in terms of cosplay,
great content,
artists, photographers. I mean, it's just a great group of people. And their moderator, their high moderator, is Jeremiah Reeves, and he gave us his blessing to post our episodes there. So if you want to check that group out, it is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we want to give a big thank you to whoever nominated us for a Parsec Award. We should be hearing about that soon.
Any day now.
Yeah, the Parsec Awards were started a number of years ago for podcasts in the speculative fiction genre, and they're awarded every year at Dragon Con. More information, parsecawards.com. Once again, thank you. And we want to remind you to occasionally click on our Amazon ads that we run at the bottom of our articles and also on the widgets on the sidebar of the website. Doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to buy anything. It just tells Amazon that we're getting some traffic. However, if you do want to buy something, use one of our search ads, and we get a little bit of a kickback. Thank you for your consideration. And lastly, please rate us on iTunes.
That would help our episodes go a very, very long way.
Yeah.
And as I've said many times before, the more people who rate us, the more to the top our episodes will appear whenever anybody is doing an iTunes search.
Yeah, and hopefully we haven't run anybody off with this episode. Up next week.
More of the same.
More of the same. Unless,
God help you.
Unless we have somebody to talk to. Pray that we have somebody to talk to. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers and carry on.